Good evening, dear compatriots. Today is February 10th, and this is already our second broadcast, Art. And during this broadcast, we will mainly talk about the negotiations that took place in Saudi Arabia between Russia and the United States. The first results of that meeting are already in, and we have the first outcomes. Announcement, we will talk about that. To be honest, I'm getting a bit tired because constantly reading, analyzing, and talking leaves no time for anything else. However, when I remember that thousands of people, even tens of thousands, are waiting for our broadcasts, it inspires me to continue our work. And today is indeed a very important day regarding those negotiations. And before starting the broadcast, your biggest The evaluation of our work will be the likes, which extraordinarily and significantly influence the development and visibility of our channel, on the increase in the number of views, as well as subscriber comments, which are also very much liked by the YouTube algorithm. Naturally, a big thank you to all those who have long subscribed to our channel. To all those who have decided to subscribe to our channel, once again, thank you, dear compatriots, and most importantly, write your opinion in the comments, as it also helps a lot. For the development of the channel, we are starting our broadcast, and the most important and main topic is the delegation between the United States of America and the Russian Federation. Negotiations that took place in Saudi Arabia. Among the negotiators were the Russian Foreign Minister and the United States Secretary of State. In addition, there are other important figures, including representatives of the presidents, advisors, and so on. And we have the first statement regarding the negotiation. Let me say that regarding the statement on the negotiation, the first impression is that the negotiations have been quite successful. The parties have agreed to activate their diplomatic missions and the full operation of embassies in the two countries. In addition, to eliminate everything that irritates each other, a special group has been formed to continue the negotiation between the United States and Russia. As announced by the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, this is the first step, but it is unlikely that this conflict will be resolved very quickly. Now, Kit Knar is already heading to Ukraine to inform the Ukrainian side about the population. The Secretary of State also noted that both sides need to make concessions, meaning that the American side places great importance on the idea that there should be concessions from both sides. Regarding concessions from the Russian side, negotiator Dmitry reports that the parties have also discussed the future. They see this as a potential relationship. Also in the economic sector, considering what possible benefits those countries might have, meaning the Russian side places great importance on the fact that if the Ukrainian war ends, the sanctions on Russia should be lifted, and the United States and the Russian Federation will find grounds for cooperation. Besides these, the parties have agreed to establish a foundation for future cooperation, which will take into account each other's geopolitical interests, mutual geopolitical interests. They will also hold discussions and negotiations on the issues presented here. I think this issue might also concern us. As I mentioned, there might be discussions regarding the South Caucasus as well. That's approximately what I meant. In fact, the United States of America and the Russian Federation have agreed to also consider each other's geopolitical interests, even to seek common geopolitical interests globally. The overall impression is that this is truly the first step between Russia and the United States, and now they will begin the full operation of their embassies. Besides that, they will try to consider mutual interests, attempt to neutralize all irritating issues, and engage in negotiations. Zelensky, along with the Ukrainian side. Besides that, Marco Rubio also stated that the time will come for the European Union to get heavily involved in this negotiation process, as the European Union has also imposed sanctions against Russia and so on. This means it also helps Ukraine, therefore it is part of the conflict, and inevitably the time will come when the European Union will also be involved in that negotiation process. Besides that, the American side notes that now the steps being taken by Europe, especially perhaps the main focus is on the extraordinary summit that took place in Paris. This is a very correct direction according to the American side. As for Ukraine, meaning the United States of America, according to official information, they only welcome Europe's increased involvement in supporting Ukraine. Now, incidentally, there is information that during that summit, a decision was made to provide unprecedented aid to Ukraine. Naturally, this likely includes military assistance as well. The aid amounts to $700 billion. This is very significant and enormous. For example, if we imagine the volume of assistance from the United States, it is unlikely to exceed approximately $300 billion over these few years. And now, if the European Union decides on $700 billion to provide aid to Ukraine, then the European Union has started to take the Russia-Ukraine war very seriously and considers it a direct threat to Europe and the European Union. In other words, they are beginning to clearly realize that the war is reaching their doorstep, and this war must also end with Ukraine in a strong position. Marco Rubio also mentioned that a dignified peace must be established between Russia and Ukraine. As I already mentioned, there will definitely be, from both sides, concessions aside. According to him, everything must be done to ensure that this war does not reappear or restart in 3 or 4 years. And Trump, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, he is clearly in favor of some wars in Europe ending, meaning he has tried to do everything to ensure that wars in Europe come to an end. The Russian side also says that it is good that the United States of America has negotiated with Russia as equals during this negotiation, meaning the Russian Federation always emphasizes such important issues as equals, discussions, lifting of sanctions, considering each other's opinions on general geographical, geopolitical issues, and so on. These are the issues at hand. The Russian Federation focuses on these issues. As for what issues the United States of America focuses on, I have already mentioned in this negotiation process. Mainly, dear compatriots, this is it. Now different groups have formed, and diplomatic communications between the United States and Russia are going to become more active, with more discussions about lifting sanctions and so on. But overall, it's not that everything is very good. Suddenly, all of this could take a different course, and we might see tension again between the United States and the Russian Federation. That is also possible, and I cannot rule it out. I'm just stating what is currently happening at the level of declarations, but overall, I would like the rock war between Russia and Ukraine to end. That war should end taking into account Ukraine's sovereignty, as it is extremely important for us as well, for the South Caucasus, for Armenia and Georgia, and as I already mentioned, the negotiator from the United States, Mike Odds, clearly stated that Donald Trump wants that war in Europe to end and for there to be clear security guarantees both for Ukraine and for Europe. As for the meeting between Trump and Vladimir Putin, in this case, that meeting could also take place in Saudi Arabia as early as next week, and in fact the negotiating team was already preparing for the meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. These preliminary and important agreements are clearly contributing to the meeting taking place between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Additionally, Peskov made an interesting statement that negotiations between Russia and the United States cannot negatively impact Russian-Iranian relations, and Russia is ready to support Iran to ensure resolution. Regarding the well-known issue of nuclear programs, which already exists, Russia is trying to assume the role of mediator between the United States and Iran. We will see how events unfold, but Iran is likely to also play an important role during these negotiations. That's mainly it, dear compatriots. Donald Trump has also made a statement that the United States they have delivered a targeted strike in Syria against an Al-Qaeda terrorist group. One of the Al-Qaeda leaders has been eliminated with these targeted strikes, you may recall, we also talked about the United States conducting an airstrike in Syrian territory, and there is no information about who the strike was directed at. There are important issues to discuss regarding Armenia, as Turkey's ambassador is in Azerbaijan. He made an important statement addressing the Armenian-Azerbaijani conflict without mentioning Nagorno-Karabakh, stating that they are ready to invest and help rebuild Nagorno-Karabakh, and so on. And most importantly, the key takeaway from that statement for us is that the ambassador declared that if peace is established between Armenia and Azerbaijan, meaning lasting peace, and eternal peace is established between Azerbaijan and Armenia, this will not only bring great benefits to the region, but also to the entire world. And it is interesting and quite positive that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Turkish diplomats have also started speaking in this manner about peace, which is possible and necessary for peace to be established in the South Caucasus. I don't see this as a specific position of Turkey, as much as I see it happening through the joint efforts of the United States and the European Union, and Turkey has started to adopt such a stance in response to these, in addition to Armenia's active policy. Also, regarding Turkey, it seems that slowly but surely positive results are emerging. Let's see and hope that Turkey's position not only doesn't change, but that we will see Turkey more decisively start to support the peace agenda. Naturally, this won't happen out of thin air. We need to undertake quite serious work in this regard, both with the Turkish side and with the international community. And naturally, we should also work should also be done with the Azerbaijani side. And Armenia has clearly already proven to the whole world that Armenia is a supporter of peace. Especially in these complex geopolitical conditions, it is very important that peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan is only strengthened and reinforced. We also see Azerbaijan's foreign policy steps, and most likely Azerbaijan is concerned that Russia's influence might sharply increase in the region as they are engaged in unknown types of negotiations. Currently, there are also developments between the United States and Russia, and it is unlikely that Ilham Aliyev would want to see a weakening of independence. Therefore, such actions are being carried out as foreign policy actions, and I have spoken about this more than once. In my view, this is very good. Armenia's steps are also very correct in terms of foreign policy. Let's hope that Georgia's relations with the United States and the European Union will be restored. It is unlikely that Georgia's relations can be quickly resolved at this stage, but I think it is easier to resolve relations with the United States than with the countries of the European Union. And if that happens, it will indeed be very important for Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia to be able to protect their independence in the region. In other words, the independence of our region's countries will not depend solely on Armenia and cannot depend on it. However, Armenia's position is extremely important, even cornerstone, in this regard. And when the Russian Federation and the United States of America have agreed to consider each other's global and political interests and to find common interests, I hope that regarding the South Caucasus, this common interest will be the result of negotiations naturally and the position of our three countries. Naturally, I cannot rely on Azerbaijan's position either. I am simply stating clearly that if Azerbaijan continues to pursue the same policy as it is now, and Armenia maintains its position, and Georgia improves its relations with the United States of America, then naturally there is a significant possibility that the countries of the South Caucasus will be able to preserve their own independence. I hope this was clear, dear compatriots. For now, that's all. Good luck, and we will meet again.